again, my thoughts and prayers do go out to everyone that has been impacted by these storms. And unfortunately, there is another one that's on the way that is supposed to be making its way here to Florida by tomorrow, I believe. I believe it's tomorrow it should be touching down. So again, my thoughts and prayers out to everyone who has been impacted by these storms. Me being from Florida, South Florida to be exact, I have dealt with several different hurricanes, and I know how devastating it can be when you don't have electricity, when it's very difficult for you to get gas for your car, and when resources are scarce at the stores. It's a very hard and troubling thing to go through. So again, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved. Now, as we do around here, we usually are streaming from a few different platforms. So we may be streaming right now on Facebook and Instagram, I believe. But if you want to see the entirety of the show, you do have to come to 2rawfortv.tv. That is the number 2raw, the number 4tv.tv if you want to see the entirety of the show. And of course, you want to see the entirety of the show. So when all those other platforms end, come on over to 2Raw for TV and rock out with us until the end of the show. Now, this week, what I want to talk about is our Vice President, Ms. Kamala Harris, and the Biden administration in general, because they have been receiving a lot of criticism for what people are perceiving as their mismanagement of crisis relief as it relates to Hurricane Helene. And a lot of people are saying that they don't have confidence in the fact that they will be any better in these upcoming storms. So as of late, there's been a lot of back and forth about, who's doing what. You have a lot of governors complaining, saying that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been slow to react. Kamala Harris is getting a lot of criticism because people are saying right now she is choosing to do a press run rather than being available to the people that need the White House right now, need this administration to be on deck with various governors throughout the state. Now, Governor DeSantis recently criticized Kamala, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And I found it to be a little bit odd, especially coming from someone like DeSantis, that he didn't have that much criticism of Joe Biden in this situation. And I guess it's because Joe Biden's term is coming to an end. And most people know that Joe Biden is hanging on by a thread. It's no surprise that he was pushed out of running for president again. And there's rumors that's saying that he's angry about that. So he's kind of throwing Kamala Harris under the bus to an extent, and he's doing it very indirectly and, very passive aggressively. But there are people saying that he did not appreciate being pushed out of the position to run for re-election because he wanted to be a two-term president. I don't know if that would have been a possibility because this administration, in my opinion, has been a train wreck. So I don't think that he would have been elected for a second term, but hey, he was elected for a first term, and I didn't think that would happen. So again, strange things do happen. Now, I have a clip I want to get into in a minute, but I do want to say this. There's a lot of people that are suffering right now. And, the thing that really angered me was when I heard Mayorkas, I believe he's the director of Homeland Security, say that FEMA had run out of money, that they didn't have the funds to make it through the remainder of the hurricane season. And I believe hurricane season will be over next month. But as we can see, hurricane season has been pretty quiet just recently up until last month. So it looks like hurricane season is going out with a bang this year, and they're going to need all the funding they can get. Another thing that a lot of people on TikTok was saying is that this little bit of FEMA money that they're saying is available for people. Kamala got up there and had a press conference when she was in, I believe she was in a certain part of Georgia. It could have been Georgia or South Carolina, but she was saying that they have funds and people are getting the things that they need, but when you go on social media and you see what's really happening on the ground and you're hearing from the people, they're saying they're not getting what it is that they need. There was a young woman that said she's digging into her savings account now to pay, I believe, $300 or $400 a night for a hotel room because they can't go back home. And she's like, once her savings runs out, she doesn't know what she's going to do because she's been denied the $750 I guess debit card that they're giving out for relief. And my thing is with the $750 thing is that in my experience with FEMA, the times that I've had to deal with hurricanes, I didn't have to qualify to get the funding. The only thing I had to do was go online, fill out a claim. A FEMA representative would come by the house, they would assess the damage, and then they would give you a check. There was no thing where you had to be qualified in order to get the funds, because obviously if you're in the middle of a hurricane and you face any type of devastation, then you should automatically be eligible to get the funds. And that is where a lot of the criticism is coming from, because people are saying that there has been a massive amount of money spent on migrants, illegal migrants at that, people who have come in the country and have no citizenship whatsoever, and they have been given funds to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars from the FEMA fund. So again, people are very irate about that right now, and rightfully so, because that FEMA fund is supposed to be for the American people so that in a time of crisis, the funds will be available to them. Now, the Biden and Harris administration, they continue to say that they have the money, they have the funds, and people are getting what they need. But people are saying, hold on. If you all have all these funds, then why is it that you can only give people $750, especially right now when we're dealing with an inflation situation in this country that is the highest it's been in the past 40 years. So you're dealing with extremely high costs for food. Where I'm living right now, I see that gas has gone down a little bit, gone down some. Groceries are still extremely expensive. So you're giving $750, and I don't know if anybody in the comment section or anything like that wants to, chime in and let us know, but it is my understanding that that's $750 for per household. I don't even think it's $750 per person, which would be more logical, because $750 for a family, again, in this economy, is not going to go very far at all, especially when you're in a situation where you're going to have to get food. More than likely, if you're in a situation where you are still without power, if your home has massive damage and you can't live in it, then you're not going to be cooking any food. You're going to more than likely be eating, things that you have to go and get, that's, like already prepared food.
So
So that is going to get,
Shimona on Facebook says that's the initial amount of money that they receive. So initial amount, not not full amount, initial amount.
okay, the 750 is the initial amount that they're going to get. So, and that's $750 for just $750. To my understanding, and for the research that I've done, I've seen that it was a $750 payout, but it didn't even specify if it was per person or just $750, because like I was saying, if you have a family, you're not getting very far with $750, especially in the midst of a crisis.
Letitia
So,
on Facebook says that's not enough money at all.
Well, no, of course it's not enough money. Like I said, when you think about the massive cost of things right now, you're not going to get very far with $750. And again, if you are in a situation where you're not at home, where you have electricity and you're able to prepare meals, then you're going to be spending a lot of money trying to buy, already prepared meals. So again, I don't know.
So
I
Shimona
mean,
Shimona says, of course they're going to get more money. That's the immediate amount. Um,
well, that amount that amount is going to be immediately gone because, like I said, $750 is not getting you very far in this day and age. It's just not getting you far at all.
it's
And I feel like,
so what she's saying. Shimona is saying, that's it's for food, and so what supplies food, and yeah, they're telling her that in Facebook that they hope so. Yeah, and so we've been through this thing, these hurricane things a million and one times before, right?
mhm,
It's very easy to listen to hear what the media is saying and go and run with that, right? It's
mhm.
it's we really don't know if unless we're in those areas, right, or underground in those areas, or have people underground in those areas that are actually dealing with these folks, right? Another thing that I want to add, right, that it's not impossible for FEMA to run out of money this year, right? And the reason why I want to add that is because just listen to the name of this hurricane is Milton, right? People that live in Florida, we understand that um, a hurricane or a storm gets their name in alphabetical order. We're all the way in M. It's not very. It's not a lot of hurricane seasons that you get to M, right? And right now they have three other storms that they're looking at. So it's easy to take a catastrophe and politicize it, right? It's very easy to do that, you know.
I'm going
Um,
to have to disagree with that. They shouldn't be running out of funding when Congress is constantly voting to send billions upon billions of dollars of foreign aid to other countries. The argument is cut off the foreign aid now and invest in the American people.
well,
Your
that's a
pe-
different
your
argument, I think.
people, your people are in a crisis, and you're still sending billions of dollars to foreign countries. It's nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. At this time, they need to be letting these other countries know America is dealing with various crises right now. So
But
we're going to have to minimize greatly or just cut off the foreign aid for right now until we can get our business at home in order.
well, I,
And
I
that's
I I can agree with that. I can agree with that if they're actually running out of money. If that narrative is actually true.
well, all Congress has to do is vote to fund it. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean
they can get
that's a
more
simple thing,
funding. It's
right?
not impossible for them to get more funding. All they have to do is vote on giving FEMA more funding.
Right.
So it's not that hard to do. They can get together and vote to send tens of billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine and wherever else they want to send it. So
What I think is
again,
a
that is
what I think is a huge problem out there right now, like in North Carolina, for instance, first responders have immobilized themselves. And when I say first responders, I'm not talking about police, fire, rescue. I'm talking about the people of the community. They have gotten together. They're putting together their systems. They've gotten together with their veterans and everybody from the community that has some kind of a skill, and they have started to save lives. And they have shut FEMA down at the front door. Don't come in here now. We have our systems going, right? And you know that's actually going on right now. Um, and I think that speaks volumes, right? Because it's kind of like these people are saying, I mean, we know you could have came with your helicopters and your Homeland Security and military forces and everything, and came to our aid, but you didn't. So we came together and we figured out what we got to do. We got some people with some helicopters, and we got some people with some boats, and some trucks and some things, and we're making things happen. And we don't need you guys to come in here now and interrupt what we got going on. Um, I think that's pretty doggone admirable, right? Round of applause. Get the government, get your ass up out of here. We don't want you and your 750. Take it and go send it wherever the hell you've been sending the rest of it, right? Because you're coming in here to politicize shit now.
That's, I mean, hey, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but the thing is everybody isn't able, so they do need to let FEMA in to get to certain areas, because I hate to I don't hate, because facts are facts and real is real, but there's a lot of people who look like us, who said no one has shown up to give them anything. And that we seen the same thing happen during Hurricane Katrina.
So
That was a failure on behalf of
Shimona on Facebook
both.
says that's not true. Can you elaborate, Shimona, on what you're saying is not true? Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, there's a lot of differences of opinions right now, because none of us are there. And to me personally, I'm going to be more inclined to believe the people that are making TikTok videos and talking about their actual experiences than the media. I'm going to be way more inclined to believe them. They are the survivors of this hurricane, and they're telling their stories. People sitting behind a freaking news studio, you're not there. You're being handed a script and you're just going off what you're being told to say. I'm not going to listen to you and take your word. I'm going to listen to the people who have charged up their cell phone in their car or in a grocery store somewhere and uploaded a video to let the people know what is happening. And there are countless videos like that out there on social media, like I just mentioned about the young lady that says with FEMA. Again, with FEMA, when FEMA was operating the way that FEMA usually operates, FEMA had funding to put people into hotels. FEMA had funding to go into your house and give you a check for structural damages and all sorts of things. So this is very bizarre to me. Again, I feel like with this administration, we're living in the upside down, because these people have shown their incompetence,
FEMA was
and
giving
they're
out money for flat tires. You got a flat tire, you get some money from
listen.
goddamn FEMA.
I remember being in a hurricane. I want to say maybe this was back in 2018, 2017 or 2018. And I had very minimal structural damage. I had like the screen door came off, and they gave me $600 for a broken screen door. So
FEMA had dope.
I know the capacity of FEMA. FEMA had plenty of money, and they were generous with the money.
So
So now to hear that,
so one of the things, and to that, I went after one of those big hurricanes. I think it was Katrina. After the aftermath of Katrina, all of those doggone RVs that FEMA had purchased and put people into, right? Because FEMA had money, right? They were able to do that. We were able to buy those RVs after the fact for pennies on the dollar, right? So these are the type of things that FEMA usually are able to do. Now, I hope, $750 is a start, right? Can go buy you some groceries for the week, maybe put some gas in your car if you could find a gas station that has gas, right? If your car is still there, if your car didn't freaking wash away, right? But that's minimal. That's literally minimal. You know what I mean? I really don't know. We're gonna see what happens after this next hurricane, right? Because
Listen, what is happening right now? Again, like I said, I've been consuming quite a bit of social media this week because I've wanted to see what the people are saying. Not Fox News, not MSDNC. And yes, I said MSDNC because MSNBC is a DNC talking station. They speak for the Democratic Party. Not any of these places, not any of these news organizations. So I've been paying attention to what the people have been saying, and a woman uploaded a video on TikTok, and she said that what FEMA is doing right now in her situation, what she had to do was she applied for the 750, she got denied, and FEMA is telling her that she has to file an appeal and then upload the documentation that shows her insurance company is not going to cover any of the damages. I've never in my life heard of anybody having to do that. FEMA is an emergency organization. So while people are in the middle, what was that?
Real quick, before you go too far, right? Shout outs to Facebook, because you keep on doggone freezing the stream, right? So guys, if you're watching on Facebook, come on over to YouTube. Shout outs to Instagram, who have completely frozen any kind of access to the live. Shout outs to you. If you everybody knows 2ROFATV.tv. If you don't know